Hello, everybody. Namaste, and welcome to our Wednesday evening of healing prayers and satsang. Today, we are going to share about Paramhansa Yogananda ji's life and some stories and principles of healing from his life. And as we have been doing, with the life of all our line of gurus and Swami Kriyananda ji. But let's start with a prayer, a brief meditation for a minute, and then we will go into the inspiration. Let's sit up straight. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Beloved Gurus, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, dearest Swamiji, we humbly bow before you all, thanking you for your presence in our lives, for the gift of your teachings, and for involving us with your work to share your joy, your teachings, your consciousness. Use each one of us as instruments to channel your blessings to all our brothers and sisters, that we may find greater healing in body, mind, and spirit in this world. Om Shanti. Let's take a double inhalation, tensing the body. Breathe out and relax. 2 more times. Now sitting with your spine straight and relaxed, away from the back of the chair, let's meditate just for a minute. And today, especially in our hearts, at the point between the 2 eyebrows, the spiritual eye, let us invite the presence of Paramhansa Yogananda ji. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome once again, friends. It's just such a wonderful thing to be able to come together and talk about the life of such great masters, the saints, and even really among saints. Once the definition of a saint is somebody who has found God, become one with God, has merged their consciousness in God. And on one level, there is really no comparison because the goal has been achieved. On the other hand, even among saints, as more than one person has said, more than one saint, I should say, had said about Paramhansa Yogananda ji that he was a giant among saints. That Kriyananda ji used to say, once after this long journey, which again the scriptures and the saints and Yogananda ji confirmed are true, that the soul goes through the journey of the mineral stage. What is that? Somebody, when Swami was once sharing this, I remember I was in a satsang and somebody said afterwards, Kriyananda ji, the age of a rock or the soul, or as they say, God is sleeping in the rocks. That's a rock. A planet lasts for a long, long time. And Swami simply said, isn't that amazing? And he said, I know. But they say God sleeps in the rocks. So the soul which is in you and me has gone through that stage. Then comes the plant kingdom. Consciousness which is sleeping and unmoving, you might say by and large in a rock, starts moving a little bit more outwardly. It becomes a grass, a plant, a fern, trees, and goes through many incarnations of those. Then Master said the soul goes through 5 to 8.5 million animal incarnations. And there, the expressions are even more deep and diverse. You look into the eyes of an animal, and silently you can feel a communication. There's empathy. There are pure feelings over there for their family, their friends, themselves. As they evolve, those feelings get more refined. And then Master said it's not like human beings have come from animals. Master says that is not true. It's only a hypothesis. And Master says they will never find the link because there is none. He did say that the soul, though, it comes from those stages into the human body. And then, of course, we find ourselves, Master said again, sometimes for 1 million human incarnations on an average before we merge back in God. And Kriyananda ji used to say, once you've gone, through a journey like that, you're like, this is it. I've done it. I want to now be for eternal rest, ever new joy, Satchit Ananda for all eternity in God. And absolutely, it is understandable. The play, the show is over. However, Kriyananda ji said some souls, saints, they preserve their desireless desire to help others out of their kinship they feel for others. And such ones return after complete liberation to help you and me. And they are called the avatars. And once Yogananda ji was telling Swami Kriyananda ji about the many Jivan Mukta saints he met, the Parama Muktas, and then he was talking about the avatars. He said the only other avatar in modern times was Ramakrishna Paramahansa. And then he said, there's of course our line of gurus. He said Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahari Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar. And Swami Kriyananda ji at that time, naturally Master didn't say, I am an avatar, but it was for his disciple Kriyananda ji to ask. And he said, sir, are you an avatar? And Swami said, Master just gently looked on one side and he simply said, it would take such a one to do the kind of work I am doing, which is to say, yes, because Master had said he had come to change civilization. And these things are not easily accomplished. It takes time, but given Master's past lives, which he had mentioned, you could see those were monumental shifts. In the beginning, they were quite small, but ultimately they had impacts globally, in different all incarnations. So anyway, when we have a Master like, an avatar as our guru, and as we have been discussing our line of gurus, then healing of all sorts is on one level possible, and we have been discussing the different principles. So I wanted to share a little bit about some stories of different healings, and chiefly we have been discussing of healings in the body, mind and such, but ultimately you and I know it's a common theme of Ananda that the highest healing is spiritual healing. And I want to talk about that today to start the story. That Yogananda ji's foremost lady disciple was Sister Gyanamata. And Master said that, she was his sister, like a spiritual sister. And Master said that she was supposed to leave her body karmically, astrologically, you may say, at a certain point. And Master said that he put in a word. He spoke to Divine Mother. And he said, Mother, why not keep her in the body for 20 more years? That way, Master said, she will become a completely liberated soul. And sister was a very sweet, obedient sister. She was up for what her guru and her brother was trying to do. And Master told her, these years will not be easy, because Divine Mother told him they will not be easy. And sister said, no, I'm fine. And those 20 years were not easy. One sister said to somebody, people have no idea how much effort it took for me just to get out of bed every day. She had to put all her will. We never know what are the challenges somebody's facing. But then year by year by year went, and Master was so playful. He knew everything. That's, you and I can relax so comfortably, not passively, but confidently, that my guru knows everything. And that's the important thing. And one day before sister's passing, Master said to everybody, sister is about to leave her body. That 20-year period is coming to a close. And then, of course, he told the exact time when she was passing. Master told some people, come, let's go and have an ice cream. Let's go on a drive. And then they went, and people were ordering ice cream. And Master said, come, come, let's go. I think, let's go. And they said, oh, we just came and we are just ordering ice cream, as you said. And Master says, take it quickly, let's go. And they went, and sister had left her body. But one day before that, Master went to her. And he said, sister, is there anything that you want? Ask me and I'll give it to you right now. And sister was Gyanamata, the mother of wisdom. She asked for the best gifts. She said, sir, please give me Nirvikalp Samadhi. And Master very sweetly said to her, why ask for something which you already have? Which is why I was calling Master a little playful, that he as the guru, as the brother, had hid, this remarkable gift from such an advanced disciple. And why not? God gives, he can take. God gives through the guru, who can take. And such, you can see why Master was her guru and why she was so advanced, that they had such a sweet, free, give and take, you might say, on that level. I found that very beautiful. But interestingly, those 20 years were not easy. So keep that in mind, friends, as Master writes that in the Autobiography of a Yogi, that a saint should be judged not in terms of his or her physical health, but which is not their main goal, but on their bliss, on their God, how established, how deeply established are they in God. I'm reminded of another story like that of Kamala Silva, whose mother was a Kriyaban, and Kamala was still a girl, little girl. Then she became a teenager, and when she was a teenager, she started noticing, as she would go with her mother to Yogananda ji's satsangs, that again and again in every talk, Master used to say, we must find God. We must find God, love God, and make it happen in this life. It is possible. And finally, when it occurred to her that, well, I should make up my mind. A teenager is still trying to think, what is life? What should I do? What is my goal? And one day she went to Master. He was walking by the garden, and she said, sir, I want to find God in this life. And Master very sweetly looked at her. He said, that's good, that's good. And then she said, bless me that I find him. You see, Guru's grace, Guru's touch is important. And Master didn't say anything. And then she said, sir, I want to find God in this life. Will I find God? Bless me that I find him. And then Master shirked away from that question, till one day she really cornered him and she said, sir, please give me the promise and the blessing. And Master would soon leave his body after this. And Master then asked her, are you sure you want God in this life? And she said, yes. And Master looked very deeply into her eyes. He said, it will not be easy, Kamala. But she said, no, I'm ready for it. I want that, Master. And then Master blessed her, and her life was not easy after that. I'm not saying life gets hard, please understand. But this is the final lap, you might say, of that long journey. And when a saint, like withholding treasure from a thief, I want it. I want it. So like Ramakrishna said, if there's gold on the other side of the wall, I want it. That's how a robber feels, a thief feels. So when we start feeling that way, no, I don't care about what else happens. I want God in this life. Then karma, guru, God, they start working very closely to make that one desire, the highest and the amazing desire to find God, they make that happen, and we start processing huge amounts of karma. Guru's grace comes, God's grace comes, our everything is required, and it's remarkable. And she did find God in this lifetime. So again, beautiful stories like that. That is the highest form of healing Master came to give. However, we must remember that as his disciples, there are other gifts that come to us and our near and dear ones. Master said, it's like one person in the family gets elevated to a high social position. Others do get certain benefits, even if it's recognition and respect from others. And so it was that once Dr. Lewis was quite concerned, and Master asked him what happened. And he said, my daughter got another seizure, and nobody's able to find out, but she's getting these seizures again and again. And I'm quite concerned. There's no cure, it seems, for that. And Master said to him, he said, please wait over here for a moment. And there was a screen in the room, and Master went behind the screen. And few minutes later, he came back. He was smiling, and he said to her, your daughter has been healed right now. Give her a phone call, and you'll see that her seizure has stopped. And then Master said, and they will never come back. My goodness. One, he's promising us God. All they tell us is to practice the techniques and practice discipleship. And such deep blessings in spoken and unspoken ways. This is at least a story that we know. Another time, Swami Kriyanandaji told Master, he said, sir, I have been suffering from headaches quite a bit. They come and go. When they come, they're very severe. I've tried many things. Nothing works. And Master said to him, why don't you start growing your hair long? And Swami did that. And Master said, and do your best. I'm also praying. And after a few, I believe, weeks or months, Swami, they were all sitting around Yoganandaji, and some devotees were thanking Master for his grace and blessings. And Swami suddenly remembered that, oh, it's been such a long time, my headaches have not come back. So he said to Master, Master, thank you for your prayers. My headaches have not come back from that day since I requested you for prayers and you agreed to pray for me. And Swami said, Master didn't say anything. And later Master said to Swamiji, he said, you shouldn't mention such things publicly. That was between you and me. He said, you had asked me for some prayers and it was not to be publicly shared. But again, you look at the beautiful divine mystery. Sometimes Master publicly brought dead people back to life. Here he was telling his very close disciple that, it's okay, I did that. I'm happy to be an instrument for God, but don't talk about it publicly because it draws attention. Miracles sometimes become the main reason people seek a guru, a God-realized master. And then Master said he used to heal a lot of people. And then he said he would never see them again after the healing had happened. Like I was sharing in the previous satsang, I believe the satsang of Babaji, that Babaji Krishna, he's an incarnation of Krishna. Krishna asked Kunti one time, ask me for a blessing, Kunti. You never ask for anything. And she said, my Lord, may I never be without some form of suffering. Imagine God tells you, what do you want? And you say suffering. And Krishna smiled. He said, why are you asking for that? She said, my Lord, because when I have suffering, I always think of you. And that should be our attitude, not to suffer, but when suffering comes, when a challenge comes, like Swami says, be like a leaf. The moment a gust of wind comes, think of God. I'll very quickly share one or two other stories from more recent times, because your and my mind can sometimes say, oh, I didn't live with Yogananda, and what about my opportunity to ask for a healing and such. It's not true, friends. I met two mothers in Brindavan and I could tell you more stories, in other satsangs I have shared of people in Ahmedabad and other places. Master and Swami writes many of these stories, but in my some outreach and travels, I met these two souls, in Ahmedabad, and then I'll share today from Brindavan, where one mother she was a widow mother, nobody to take care of her, very weak because she had a huge tumor on her back, foul smelling, and a tumor saps the energy out of you. It also got infected. So one day, out of sheer weakness, she fainted on the road. And she said this young man came to her and he said, Mother, why are you lying down here? Go and get this treated. And she said, Son, I have no money. I have nobody to take care. I have no strength to get up. How will I go there? And he said, go to these people who wear a blue jacket, which is what our team in Brindavan, Paramhansa Yogananda Public Charitable Trust, that team wears that jacket. And this was happening, this is a 7-year-old story, I believe. And he said, go to them. And she said, I don't know who you're talking about. He said, it's okay. He said, I'll clap 2 times. And he clapped, and the team came. They saw her, took her to the hospital. Long story short, she was admitted, operated, and then brought to one of our homes. And all this while, people were asking her, "Who is the man who told you to come to us?" And she tried to describe him in one way or another. Well, finally, she reached her room, and right next to every bed is a picture of Yogananda ji. And she saw the picture, and she said, "Oh, he's the man. This is the man who was telling me." And he clapped. And the moment he clapped, you all noticed me. You came and helped me. Isn't that remarkable? And he came in form. This was not a dream or vision. In the second story, which also happened to a widow mother in Brindavan recently, around the same time, she was being really troubled by her family. I believe it was Orissa or Bengal. And, she was uneducated, she had no money, alone. And, she didn't, at that age, maybe in her 60s or 70s, didn't know what to do. She was stuck in that situation. And she said again and again, this man would come in her dreams, and he would say, "Just take the train to Brindavan. My team will take care of you." Now, isn't that interesting that God wants us to do something? Now, many times a remarkable grace may come and do things right where we are. It all depends on past karmas. But anyway, she said she would wait, things would get bad, he would come in the dream. And one day she just got on the train, reached Brindavan, and these are her words. She stepped off the train at the platform, and our team has the freedom and specifically has been told to not just wait for somebody to call you, but look around who needs help, who is looking lost or in need, and reach out, make friends, offer your assistance. And so these two ladies went up to this mother. They said, "Mother, do you know, are you here for the first time? Do you know somebody?" She said, "No, I have just come, and God will take care of me." And they said, "Would you like us to help you in some way with a shelter, with food, and such?" They said, "Sure." And as they were going, she told of this dream. And again, people were naturally asking her to describe the man. Well, they reached the hostel, or as the mothers have a dormitory, two ladies, two widow mothers in each room. And right there by her bed, she saw the picture. Oh, she said, "Oh my goodness, he's the man. He came in my dream and he was telling me, my people will take care of you." So I'll close with this story, friends, that God's grace, his healing, comes in many ways: spiritually, mentally, emotionally, of course. Just looking at Master's picture, being so much healing to us, physical healing, and in these dramatic cases, and many, many others, the Masters physically appear sometimes. But they, as you can see, one common theme is they are asking us to do something, or they are working through a team, or an individual, or a center. And keep that in mind. Kriyananda ji used to say, God always works through instruments. The avatars themselves, they are instruments of God to bring healing in this world. So, as much as you and I, we find ourselves in the midst of extremely modern times, here we are on a technical Zoom platform. Just because things outwardly are getting modern, we must not, it's not an either or situation that, oh, that used to happen in old times. No, for God, there is no old time, no modern time. God is, God will be, and so are his instruments. Let us stay in their consciousness, in their remembrance, serving as their instruments, especially in these times of difficulty, chaos, challenges, change in the world. Pray for people every day. This is still a sampler, once a week, half an hour. Swami said, Dr. Lewis, once Master asked Dr. Lewis, "Are you praying, Doctor? Do you pray for others?" And Dr. Lewis very confidently, he said, "Master, I'd like to think I'm praying all the time." And Master says, "Yes, you are. But now I want you to start praying, believing that, in that confidence that my prayers will be answered. Don't have that doubt." So, praying, praying all the time, pray believing, pray with the masters. That is what Master would be so happy if more and more and more of us do. And our spiritual growth, progress, expansion, and openness of heart will come from that. So, with that, I'd like us all to offer a healing prayer for the world, and then we will go into individual healing prayer requests. Let's take a moment as especially we bring these 6 classes of healing power of saints of Swami Kriyananda ji, starting with his birth anniversary day, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahari Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar ji, and Paramhansa Yogananda ji's life today, that may they bring greater healing to us, through us to many others, and may the light of God and His saints express itself in this world, in their instruments, and reach out to all their children. Let's rub our hands together, send this blessing out into the world. Om Shanti.